welcome back to our special OTR. This is the Democrat State Treasurer debate. And in this part of the debate, we want the candidates to ask each other a question. And we've established a lottery to determine who goes first. And Barry, you ask the first question to Deb, please.
Deb, my family started off in the Georgetown housing projects in Hyde Park. My parents were both public school teachers. To pay for college, I unloaded trucks at 3 in the morning. To pay for my own law school education, I worked 2 jobs. What in your background you think relates best to Massachusetts voters?
Well, Barry, I think that's a wonderful question because I'm very fortunate to come from a loving family that has been here a while and started a business, but it was always about staying real. And so I had my 50 cents an hour babysitting job in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, got my working papers as soon as I got into high school, took the T to Coolidge Corner and worked in a shoe store and at Adam and Eve, which was a clothing boutique. And as soon as I got my license, I was working in the stores as a retail clerk, a member of 1445, and my brother was making meat patties out in the Marlboro meat plant. I think that is because our business was such a basics business. It was about economic security and economic stability for everybody. And it was all about families, 3 generations of families working together at one time. And I was brought up that was my responsibility to take care of, work with. That's why I get along so well with the Teamsters. I used to hang out on the docks with them, went to public school and hung on what we called the fence in Brookline. And every police officer and firefighter who work in Brookline today were my friends. So I believe it was my family's values that they instilled in me that helped me have a grasp and an understanding of every person in this Commonwealth and what I can do to make sure they have a better life here in Massachusetts.
Deb, just so the viewers at home know, the store you are talking about is, go ahead and say
Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop, good.
And we went through a hostile takeover and were forced out because we wouldn't fire our people.
Tom, you get the next question to Barry, please.
Barry, I have worked on an issue for the past 8 years that's a real challenge for the Treasurer, which is retiree health care and massive unfunded liabilities, both at the state and the local level. And I've actually authored laws that have helped address these unfunded liabilities and try to solve this problem. And they've actually enhanced our credit rating as a Commonwealth. What is your plan to address these massive unfunded liabilities for health care, specifically for state and municipal retirees?
Well, I think one of the things that we have to do is I want to invest in Massachusetts. And the way you invest in Massachusetts is I want to use the pension funds to create more jobs. That will allow there to be...
This is health care security trust fund, not the pension.
Right. But that will allow there to be more revenue. If we have better local aid, having a successful lottery, there'll be better local revenue to come back to our local communities. I'm a former selectman, so I understand the challenges of having unfunded health care liabilities, and I understand the challenges that go along with that. But with my background of being a selectman, a state rep, and a state senator, I'll work with local communities. I'll help them find ways of making sure that they can fully fund their obligations. And I've taken some difficult votes as a member of the legislature, and I'll continue to work with them to make sure they find solutions.
But you don't have a plan ready to go day one as soon as you become treasurer like I do.
Yeah, so I think that I'll work with them to make sure that they have the tools they need, make sure that we have a successful working relationship. But I think the key thing is you got to let local communities help solve their problems. I'll be a good partner for them. I'll work with them. And with my experience of being a selectman, state rep, state senator, I have the ability to do that. But at the same time, we also have to think about, I have 4 communities that I've represented, unlike you, that I have the experience of working with an urban community like Lawrence. I have the experience of working with a community like Tewksbury, which is a blue-collar community. I have the experience of working with Dracut, which has farms. So you don't have that experience.
I represent places in Marlboro that are trailer parks. People are really hurting, Barry. And the issue is the state treasurer's role over the state health care security trust fund. $17 billion of unfunded liabilities. What are you going to do about that?
Well, continue to work with the legislature, continue to work with different government entities, and make sure that we have a long-term plan to do it. I'll work with the Speaker. I'll work with the Senate President. I'll work with the Governor to make sure that we can solve these problems. I've served in the House. I've served in the Senate. I've been on the Ways and Means Committee. I've been on the Taxation Committee. So I have the experience from day one to do a great job and make sure that we can solve these problems long-term.
Deb, let me have you the last question, please. Deb to Tom.
Well, Tom, you almost took my question for you away from me because it was similar to what you asked Barry. So I think that since this is such an important discussion, and I'm actually very interested in it, I know that prior to you being a state representative, I developed an expertise in pension obligation bonds and also for post-retirement benefits. I want to have you share with us what your reforms are that you're referring to and how we don't harm any of the present employees who we all know pay 10 to 12% in. A deal was a deal. They were anticipating this being covered by health care. Right. So I actually am very interested in that, and so I would like to have you explain that to us.
So there's a couple of things that I've authored that have become laws. I talked about one at the state level, one at the local level. The state level one was taking that tobacco settlement money from the Attorney General settlement that is over $200 million a year. And instead of just spending it sort of out the back door through a normal budget process and having that money come into the general fund, part of that is being allocated towards this healthcare security trust fund so that we can
isn't the
fund
settlement supposed to be going towards
healthcare.
Other things?
Healthcare, and it is. This is a healthcare security trust fund. It's exactly the kind of thing that it's for. So that is one of the things that the credit rating agencies point to all the time and say, this is why Massachusetts is now at AA+. So it's the legislation that I authored. That's number one.
That would be taking money away from other healthcare programs.
Right.
So where would you get that money from?
Healthcare disparities among working people and the poor in the cities.
The second thing that I did was help municipalities make the smart investments. All too often, what I noticed as I traveled around the state and talked to people was that local treasurers didn't have the kind of financial management expertise and investment knowledge to make the right choices in setting aside money for these long-term liabilities.
Well, my community is
so I
AAA bond
authored a
rated,
law that allowed municipalities for the first time to invest in the state treasurer's managed pension reserve investment management trust, tapping into the finest investment management talent in the world. And that is going to allow them to generate the kind of returns.
That sounds
real fast because we're on.
Tom, that sounds all well and good, but you don't have communities like Tewksbury, you don't have communities like Drake that are really every single year, they're on the cusp every year of having to make cuts.
Well,
so it sounds good.
This is really just around the edges, though, some of these things.
Yeah,
we need
and
to be
it sounds good, but in reality, it's just not going to work.
It's already worked. It's already worked.
It's already worked.
It's already worked. Cities and towns are doing it, and the state's credit rating has gone up.
We're going to step aside for just a minute, and up next is our lightning round. Stay with us.